Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global TV. We are live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. Now the news in full. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria have initiated a rehabilitation process to revive about 46 abandoned housing projects nationwide. The bank says this would be achieved through a partnership with Shelter Afrique Development Bank, a pan-African finance institution that exclusively supports the development of the housing and real estate sector in Africa. The FMBN Managing Director Shehu Usman Osidi stated this while hosting the management of Shelter Afrique Development Bank recently in Abuja, noting that the bank had made reviving the housing estate a priority. According to him, the intensified collaboration will help provide construction and mortgage financing to developers in Nigeria. The Trade Union Congress of Nigeria has asked the federal government to begin the importation of food in 2 weeks to mitigate the soaring prices of food across the country. This was disclosed by the President TUC Festus Osifo during a press conference in the economic hardship ravaging the country in Abuja. According to him, Nigerians have never witnessed this level of hardship before, even during military regimes, adding that the problems are not unconnected to the government's poor patronage of locally made products and services and lack of capable hands at the helm of affairs. House of Representatives Committee on the National Agency on Food, Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, have suspended the ban on the sale of spirits and alcohol drinks in sachet and PET bottles until further investigation is concluded. This decision came after a public hearing in Abuja where Rep. Regina Kume, the committee chairperson, emphasized the importance of proper procedures and access control to prevent children and youths from accessing these alcohol products. Regina, in a statement, stressed that the committee's primary concern is ensuring the effectiveness of NAFDAC while also considering employment creation and economic growth. NAFDAC Director General Professor Mojisola Adeyeye reiterates that the initial ban was implemented to safeguard the health and well-being of vulnerable groups, including children and youths. Nigerian nurses have dragged the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, NMCN, to court over its recent circular for requesting verification of certificates for nurses and midwives. The foreign nursing boards of council also joining the suit as second defendant in the Registrar Secretary General of NMCN, Dr. Farouk Umar Abubakar. The circular issued by Farouk on February 7, 2024 has been attracting mixed reactions from stakeholders. The nurses are subsequently praying the court to grant a general aggravated damages of 5 million naira for strictures and discomfitures. To date has been fixed for the hearing of the suit. The Nigerian Police Force has stated that on the heels of the proposed nationwide protest by the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, it affirms the fundamental right of all citizens of the country to engage in peaceful protest in line with extant laws, adding that he has deployed personnel nationwide and placed them on red alert to monitor the planned protest. Further stating that all commissioners of police and their respective supervising officers have been briefed and instructed to coordinate the officers on ground in assuring the safety and security of all participants. If the protest holds as planned, the Nigerian Police Force states that it remains vigilant against any attempt to hijack such protests by individuals or groups of persons with sinister intents. Civil society organizations in Edo State have stormed the streets of Benin City, the state capital. The protests followed the current economic hardship currently affecting Nigerians. Members of CSOs carried various placards such as End Economic Hardship, Federal Government End the Hunger in Nigeria Now, among many others to state their grievances. The Benin protest is coming after Ibadan residents protested against economic hardship. Meanwhile, a human rights group identified as the Take It Back movement have hit the streets of Lagos to protest against the soaring price of food and the high cost of living in the country. This protest was held against the warning issued by the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Adegoke Fayoade. According to him, the police are aware of the plan by some people to protest in the street and will ensure that the necessary measures are put in place for the safety of lives and property of Lagosians. He stressed that nothing would hinder the free flow of traffic or a peaceful environment to let residents carry out their lawful duties. Similarly, groups of activists under the aegis of Joint Action Force Coalition for Revolution, Osun Civil Society Coalition, members of the Federation of Informal Workers in Osun State and youth, staged a peaceful protest against the rising cost of living in the country. They also fought the decision of the federal government to give proceeds of oil subsidy removal to the governors. Speaking during the protest held by the groups in Osogbo, the state capital, one of the conveners, Wahid Saka, says the protest was organized to prepare the ground for a bigger demonstration against the economic crisis ravaging the country. The defense headquarters have debunked allegations and in an online media organization claiming that the Presidential Guards Brigade have been put on high alert following suspicious movements around the seat of power, indicating fears of coup plot. A statement by the Acting Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukur Gusau, stated that the publication also has said, amongst other things, that the suspicious prompted emergency meeting involving President Bola Tinubu, the Chief of Staff to the President and Commander of Guards Brigade. The Defense Headquarters categorically stated that the allegation is totally false, while calling on relevant security agencies to immediately take appropriate action against the unpatriotic action. Over now to the Enugu State Police Command have arrested a 45-year-old man for fraudulently obtaining 18 bags of rice from a businessman to share with indigent people. The suspect, identified as Inamani Joseph, is said to have, on February 14, 2024, gone to the premises of a church in Ogwe, Enugu suburb, from where he called a businessman requesting 18 bags of 25 kg rice valued at 400,000 naira, with the pretense of wanting to use the same for charity to the church. Confirming the incident, the command spokesman, DSP Daniel Odugwe, said that the suspect was arrested on February 20, 2024 at Emene, where he had rebagged and sold 10 bags at Ore Ineme Market, Enugu. According to Idukwe, the suspect and his accomplices will be arraigned in court as soon as investigations are concluded, advising Enugu residents, particularly businessmen and women, to always be security conscious to avoid falling prey to fraudsters. The Speaker, Zamfara State House of Assembly, Honorable Bayaminu Maruki, and 6 other members at the sitting have suspended 16 members of House who threatened to impeach the Speaker of the House last Thursday. Moving the motion for suspicion of the 8 lawmakers, the Majority Leader, Honorable Mohammed Mazawaje, says the members were accused of breaking into offices of the Clerk of the House and Sergeant of Arms and destroyed other things at the Assembly complex. The 6 lawmakers, in their separate presentation at the sitting, also accused some top politicians outside the state of sponsoring the 18 lawmakers to disrupt the good image of the House, as well as that of Governor Dauda Lawal administration. Justice Binta Iyako of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has fixed March 19, 2024 for a ruling in the application by the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOD, Nnamdi Kanu, seeking to be admitted to bail in the tourism charge filed against him by the federal government. Justice Iyako fixed the date on Monday after taking arguments from Kanu's new counsel, Alo Ejemako, for bail for his client and Adegboyega Owumulo San, who stood for the federal government and objected to the granting of bail to the IPOB leader, while Owumulo took over the case from David Kwase San from the Federal Ministry of Justice in Abuja for the prosecution. Kanu also engaged in a new team of lawyers led by Pam Ejafo and Alo Ejemako, who also over the case from Mike Ezekame San and Ifeanyi Ejiofor, without adducing any reason for the charge. You're watching AM News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We are on Star Times channel 276. Can you follow us on all social media platforms using at Global TV NG and handles now showing on your screen. When AM News returns, Forex crisis threatens Murdola refineries, 25 billion naira daily crude impute. There are more stories coming to you next. Stay tuned. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of AM News. Thank you for staying with us. Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CASLAC, have called on the National Assembly not to approve borrowing for recurrent expenditure and dilatory capital expenditure that adds no value to economic growth, wealth creation, and development. Speaking at a press briefing with the Senate Press Corps in Abuja, the executive director of the center, Awal Rafsanjani, decried the growing debt overhang, which he said has largely led to the nation's economic crisis. Kike Lomo Okere tells us more.
In exercising their oversight and investigative powers, CISLAC urged federal legislators to urgently investigate movement and spending of loans received by the past administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. Tracing a decline situation back to the last 5 years, Rafsanjani noted that by the current year, Nigerian debt profile would have climbed to 107.38 trillion naira from 97.9 trillion naira in 2023. He stated that the major concern is the management of rising public debt and the evident unavailability of details of how the government has spent the huge loan over the years.
Continue to worry us. You recall we've been here separately to draw the attention of the legislators that this kind of all the times that executive will send directive, because what I see is like directing the National Assembly to do that, not even asking them for their approval, because if it is asking them to critique or to look at it in the international interest, the National Assembly members will have known the repercussion, the consequences of continuously borrowing without even respect or without compliance with the fiscal responsibility law that clearly states what loans should be collected for. We cannot be borrowing money just for people to be doing party. We cannot be borrowing money for people to be traveling, without any commensurable, benefit to the nation. We cannot be borrowing money for people to simply be stealing, outright stealing the money.
Rafsanjani therefore called for a full-scale investigations into all loans taken by successive governments, especially the $3.4 billion World Bank facility, as reported by the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation in 2020.
From the money that they have borrowed, even the Auditor General had said that many of those monies have been actually cannot be accounted for. I'll give you an example. Nigeria borrowed $3.4 billion to help Nigerians against the COVID. Today, officially, Nigerian government, speaking to Nigerian government, said that those money cannot be accounted for. These are borrowed money. And the worst part of it is that Nigeria is borrowing a lot of money from commercial banks. So this laziness, this ruthless approach to collecting free money, easy money, not free money, because it's not free money, you have to pay. Nigerians must pay through their sweat. And some few individuals are collecting this money without cost to putting any developmental project. So if government is telling you that the money government collected is not accounted for, is stolen, so you can see that there's a problem.
The trajectory of revenue from the federal government shows a continuous decline in the past 5 years, with a 45% revenue shortfall in 2018, a 45% shortfall in 2019, 31% in 2020, and 45%, 41%, and 50% in 2021, 2022, and 2023, respectively. Kike Lomo Okere, reporting for Global Television News.
The state of Qatar has finally accepted to host the Business and Investment Forum proposed by President Bola Tinubu during his visit slated for March 2, 2024 to the Arab country. Qatar took this decision following a leaked memo on Saturday which showed that Qatar declined a proposed investment forum. Given reasons for the decline, the country cited the unavailability of the country's Minister of Commerce and Industry, Mohammed bin Hamid Al Thani. The embassy of Qatar in Abuja had said there was no agreement between the Arabian country and Nigeria regarding the investment forum. Still on the news, an attack on a mosque in eastern Burkina Faso have killed dozens of Muslims in the same day as another deadly attack on Catholics attending Mass. Soldiers and members of the Volunteers for the Defense of the Fatherland, VDP, a civilian force that supports the military, were also targeted by these hordes who came in large numbers. At least 15 civilians were killed and 2 others injured during an attack on a Catholic church during Sunday Mass in northern Burkina Faso. A man believed to be an active member of the U.S. Air Force has set himself on fire outside the Israeli embassy in Washington. As media reported, he was protesting the war in Gaza. According to a message on X by the capital's fire department, emergency responders rushed to the scene just before 1 p.m. in response to a call for a person on fire outside the Israel embassy. They arrived to find that officers from the Secret Service, the U.S. law enforcement agency tasked with protecting U.S. political leaders, visiting heads of state and others had already extinguished the fire. Meanwhile, the man was transported to the hospital with critical life-threatening injuries. Japan's moon lander has survived the harsh Lemar night, the sunless and freezing equivalent to 2 Earth weeks. The National Space Agency JAXA said on X that last night a command was sent to SLIM and a response was received. The craft was put into sleep mode after an awkward landing in January left its solar panels facing this wrong way and unable to generate power. A change in sunlight direction later allowed to send pictures back, but it shut down against a lunar night fell. JX said at the time the smart lander for investigating Moon SLIM was not designed for the harsh Lemar night. Mauritius have denied a Norwegian cruise ship permission to dock at the capital Port Louis over fears of potential cholera outbreak on board. At least 15 people on the Norwegian Darn has been in isolation over suspected illness. Mauritian authorities said the decision to block the ship was taken in order to avoid any health risks. Samples were taken for testing with results expected to be known as soon as possible. A representative of Norwegian cruise line Holding says the passenger developed mild symptoms of stomach illness during a trip to South Africa, adding that there have been cholera outbreaks in southern Africa over the last few months, with Zambia being hardest hit. The Indian Railways have ordered an investigation after a freight train traveled more than 70 kilometers, 43.4 miles, without drivers. Video shared on social media showed the train zooming past several stations at high speed. Reports say the train ran without a driver from Kachra to Jammun and Kashmir to Hapur district in Punjab. The railway says the train was brought to a halt and no one was hurt. The 53-wagon train carrying stone chips was on its way to Punjab from Jammu when it stopped at Kutwa for a change in crew. Officials says it's because moving down a slope on the railway tracks after the train driver and his assistant got off. Visitors from China have claimed they were banned from a German military plane at a recent air show, prompting an apology from manufacturer Airbus. The incident allegedly took place at the Singapore Air Show, one of the region's largest exhibitions of commercial and military aviation. The claims have gone viral on Chinese social media, sparking controversy. German officials have yet to comment. Airbus apologized for any inconveniences caused. The incident comes amid increasing European concern of Chinese state access to Western military technology. The president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, last year warned against European technology enhancing China's military capacity. A quick look at business. Modular refineries in Nigeria are currently facing the threat of shutting down operations following their inability to access foreign exchange for the purchase of crude oil. A commodity price in United States dollars, Nigeria has 25 licensed modular refineries with a combined capacity of producing 200,000 barrels of crude oil daily. Although not all of the plants are currently operational, it was gathered that the functioning ones were increasingly finding it difficult to purchase crude oil to the worsening foreign exchange crisis in the country. And now on entertainment, popular Nigerian singer Adekunle Kosoko, professionally called Adekunle Gold, has finally opened up about his battle with sickle cell. The singer stated that he was diagnosed with sickle cell at birth. He paid tribute to sickle cell survivors during his latest stage performance. He expressed gratitude to God for a successful career and global recognition without significant health setbacks. He encouraged those with similar health challenges to remain resilient and determined in pursuing their life goals. Actress and director Amy Schumer has revealed her Cushing's syndrome caused by an overabundance of hormone cortisol in her body. She revealed the condition after being swarmed by comments about her face, with fans saying it looked puffier. During recent TV interviews, she was previously spoken about body positivity and said it was important to advocate for self-love and acceptance of the skin you're in. In her initial response, Schumer attributed the change in her appearance to endometriosis, adding that the subsequent Cushing's feeling reborn. In sports, Honduras striker Herbert Ellens remained in an induced coma after a serious head injury, with French club Bertrix saying it was impossible to comment on his vital signs. Ellens, 28, was knocked unconscious just 40 seconds into Saturday's League Two game against Gincap, which he met across and collided with the head of defender Donatien Gamos. Although Gomez recovered quickly, Ellens was threatened for several minutes on the pitch before being evacuated to the hospital, where he underwent surgery. Ellis made his name with Hudson in the MLS before moving to Europe in 2020. When he joined the Portuguese side Boavista, he moved to Berderix in 2021. And as we end the Global AM News, let's look at our top stories again. Defense Headquarters has missed coup report as Nigerian nurses dragged NMNCN to court over controversial circular. Reps suspended NAFDAC ban sachet alcohol drinks. And on our foreign scene, Qatar have backtracked welcoming investment forum with Tinubu. Mauritius blocked Norwegian cruise ship. And in business, federal government set to revive 46 abandoned housing projects nationwide. And that's it on AM News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Remember, we're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @Global TV NG and at handles now showing on your screen. I am Jumai Mazin. Thank you for watching. See you again. Good morning.